You have tried volumizing sprays, root lifters, teasing combs, and every trick that worked 10 years ago, and your hair still falls flat by noon. Something is wrong, and you can feel it every single morning when you look in the mirror. If that sounds familiar, this video was made specifically for you. There is a reason thin hair after 50 behaves differently, and it is not the products, it is not your technique, and it is absolutely not your fault. The real reason your hair keeps falling flat, looking stringy, or aging your face has nothing to do with how little effort you are putting in. It has everything to do with which steps you are doing and in which order. Let's fix this together, because your natural elegance and those beautiful cheekbones deserve so much better than flat, lifeless hair dragging everything down. I research worst style and beauty mistakes and youth-boosting fixes for mature women, so you get simple, proven transformations that work instantly. Today we are perfecting thin hair styling. And by part 3, you will want to pause this video, walk to your bathroom, and look at your hair with completely new eyes. I mean it. Here is what we are covering. In part 1, we are exposing the single biggest mistake that makes thin hair look even thinner, and nearly every woman over 50 is doing it without knowing it. In part 2, we are talking about the way you are adding volume wrong, and what to do instead that actually holds through the day. Part 3 covers the styling product trap, the one everyone falls for, and the simpler swap that changes everything. And in part 4, we are finishing strong with the technique that frames your face, lifts your features, and makes your whole look feel 10 times more polished. One of these 4 steps is going to stop you cold. You are going to think, I have been doing that for years. And the very first mistake? It is so common it almost feels universal. Almost every woman I talk to makes it, and it starts the moment the towel comes off your head. Let's go. Part 1. The towel and rough dry mistake that collapses thin hair at the root. You wrap your wet hair in a towel, give it a good scrunch, maybe even rub it a little to speed things up, and you have done it every single morning for decades. It feels harmless. It feels practical. But this is where the damage begins, long before the blow dryer ever touches your hair. Here is what nobody tells you. Thin hair in your 50s has a fundamentally different structure than the hair you had at 35. The individual strand diameter is narrower, the hair is more porous, and the cuticle layer lifts more easily with friction and heat. When you pile that hair on top of your head in a towel and rub, even gently, you are crimping the root area, roughing up the cuticle, and essentially training your hair to lie flat before the styling process has even begun. This is the one that made a friend of mine grab her own hair and say, "Wait, I have been doing this since I was 20 years old." The towel mistake is aging your hair by collapsing the very root zone that would otherwise give you natural lift. Without lift at the root, every other step you take is fighting against a losing battle from the very beginning. So here is what you do instead. Swap the terry cloth towel for a microfiber towel, or even a soft old cotton t-shirt. The surface is smooth, the friction is nearly zero, and rather than wrapping and rubbing, you are gently pressing and patting. That single swap preserves the cuticle, keeps the root zone open and lifted, and gives every product you apply afterward a fighting chance to actually work. You needed to hear this. When your hair dries with a compressed, flattened root from towel friction, no volumizer in the world can fully undo that damage. The hair has already been trained into a flat position before it has dried into any shape at all. That is why your products feel like they stopped working. They did not stop working. They never had a fair starting point. The second part of this same step is how you hold your head while the towel is on. Most women tip their head forward to wrap the towel turban style, and then leave it sitting compressed on top of their scalp for 5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes while they go about their morning. Every minute that weight sits on wet hair, it is pressing down on the exact root zone you are trying to lift. If you are still using a heavy terry turban towel wrap every morning, swap it for a loose microfiber press and pat. Then flip your head forward, and let your hair hang free while you continue your morning routine. The difference is not subtle. You will feel it by the time you reach the blow dryer. Now here is the thing that makes this step even more powerful. Combining the microfiber method with a tiny amount of root lifting product applied to the roots while the hair is still damp. Not soaking wet, not towel rub dry, but damp and handled gently, sets up a foundation that actually holds. Your bone structure and your natural hairline are working for you. The styling just has to stop working against them. This one small change in how you handle the first 2 minutes after your shower is going to shift how your hair behaves for the entire rest of the day. And speaking of the rest of the day, part 2 is about the blow-drying step that most women get completely backwards. And once you see what I mean, you will never hold that dryer the same way again. The towel step is now fixed. But if the blow-drying step is still wrong, you are giving back every bit of volume you just gained. Here is the single most common blow-drying mistake women over 50 make. And it starts with which direction you are pointing the nozzle. Most women point the dryer straight down at the scalp from above. It feels logical. It feels efficient. But here is what is actually happening. Hot air flowing straight down onto thin hair pushes each strand back toward the scalp and seals it there. You are literally blow-drying your hair flat. The root zone, which needs air flowing under and around it to lift, is getting no lift at all. You are just heating it in the position it already settled into. The fix is to flip. Not your whole head, just the nozzle angle. Direct the airflow upward from underneath the hair, rather than downward from above. You do not need to flip your entire head upside down like a 1990s shampoo commercial. You simply tilt the dryer so it is angled low and the airflow rises through the roots rather than compresses them from above. Do this in sections, starting at the nape and working toward the crown. Keep the dryer moving. Never hold it in one place for more than a few seconds on thin hair. And use medium heat, not maximum. High heat on thin fine hair after 50 causes the kind of damage that accumulates gradually and invisibly until one day the texture just feels wrong. This is the one thing I wish someone had whispered to me years ago. If you are still holding your dryer aimed straight down at the top of your head, swap that angle immediately. The upward airflow technique is the difference between hair that sits flat and hair that has a natural lived-in lift that lasts all day. And here is what makes it hold even longer. Finish each root section with a 5-second cool shot directed upward from below after lifting it with a round brush, or even just your fingers. Heat opens. Cool sets. That 5-second cool shot at the end of each section is locking in every bit of lift you just created. Yes. That simple. The volume you have been chasing with products for years is actually a technique issue, not a product issue. Fix the technique and the results are immediate. Part 3 is where we talk about the product mistake. And honestly, it surprised even me when I first understood it. It is hiding in your bathroom cabinet right now. Part 2, the product trap that weighs thin hair down every single day. Have you ever wondered why your volumizing products seem to stop working after a few weeks? You buy something new, it feels amazing for the first few days, and then somehow, nothing. The volume is gone and the bottle is still half full. This is not a coincidence. And it is not the product's fault. There is one specific truth about thin hair after 50 that product marketing will never tell you. Thin, lower-density hair after menopause has a dramatically reduced capacity to carry product weight compared to younger, thicker hair. What felt like a light hold mousse at 40 is now a heavy anchor at 60. The formula did not change. Your hair did. And this is the moment most women do the thing that makes everything worse. They use more. More product, more layers, more sprays on top of sprays, because the result is not showing up the way the bottle promised. More does not mean more volume on thin hair. More means more weight. More means more flatness. More means your hair is being dragged down by the very things you bought to lift it. This is the one that made a woman in my comments say she had been fighting her hair for 8 years, and the answer was using less of what she already had. The product weight mistake is aging your hair by creating a build-up layer at the root that acts like a physical press. Your hair is not lying flat because it is thin. It is lying flat because it is coated. Here is the swap. If you are still reaching for mousse or volumizing cream and applying it from root to tip, swap that for a lightweight root-only spray applied exclusively to the root zone on damp hair. Nothing on the mid-lengths, nothing on the ends. The ends of thin hair do not need product. They need to be left alone. Product on the ends of thin fine hair is creating the stringy, separated look that reads as flat and aging on camera and in mirrors. The second part of this same mistake is layering. Women over 50 often use 2, 3, sometimes 4 products thinking each one adds something the others do not. In reality, on thin hair, each additional layer is reducing your total volume result. The lightest possible single product applied to the root zone only. That is the entire formula. Everything else is working against you. Your natural elegance does not need to be buried under 3 layers of styling product every morning. Now here is the piece that actually changed how I think about this entirely. Product buildup on thin fine hair after 50 does not wash out as easily as you might think. Most shampoos designed for volume actually contain conditioning agents that coat the hair shaft and accumulate over time. So even on wash day, you may not be fully clearing the buildup from the week before. This is why a clarifying wash, not every day, not even every week, but once every 10 to 14 days as a dedicated reset, makes such a visible difference. One clarifying wash and most women immediately notice their hair feels lighter, lifts easier, and holds style significantly longer. That is not the clarifying shampoo adding volume. That is your hair finally moving freely without the weight of accumulated product coating every strand. This is everything. Swap your current daily shampoo for a sulfate-free gentle formula, and add 1 clarifying wash to your rotation every 2 weeks. The difference will show up so fast it will feel like something finally clicked. And speaking of something clicking, part 3 is about the finishing technique that most women skip entirely, and it is the one step that frames your face, adds perceived density, and makes the whole look feel pulled together and intentional rather than just styled and hopeful. Product weight is now handled. But there is one more layer to this that almost nobody talks about. Most women finish styling and walk away. They call it done. But the finish step, the one that seals in the look and adds the perceived fullness that makes everyone ask what you did differently, is being skipped entirely. Here is what finishing on thin hair actually means. After your hair is fully dry and styled, you have a 30-second window to set the root zone with your fingers and a soft hold finishing spray from underneath. Not on top, not downward. Tilt your head slightly forward, lift the crown section gently with your fingertips, and mist the lightest possible finishing spray from below, so it lands on the underside of the hair at the root, not on the surface. This is the technique that holds. The surface of thin styled hair is already where gravity is pulling. Any product applied from above just accelerates that. Applying from below lifts and supports the root zone from underneath, exactly where the support is needed. You are not adding product weight on top of the hair. You are creating a feather-light structural support from underneath. Your bone structure was always this beautiful. The finishing step is what lets it actually show. And swapping a downward misted hairspray for this upward lift and set technique is the difference between a style that lasts 90 minutes and a style that is still looking full and deliberate at 6 in the evening. Part 4 is the final step. And it is the one that pulls everything together into a look that is not just styled, but genuinely elevated. It involves the way you section your hair at the very end. And once you do it, you will wonder how you ever finished a styling routine without it. Part 3, the sectioning secret that makes thin hair look twice as full. You spent 20 minutes styling, and something still looks off. The volume is there at the crown, but the sides are telling a different story. The part is showing more scalp than you want. The overall silhouette reads flat in the mirror, even though each individual section looked fine when you worked through it. This is the sectioning mistake. And it is the reason thin hair never quite looks as full as the effort you put into it. Here is the key insight that changes this. The part line is the single most visible indicator of hair density on the human head. A part that runs in the same place every day for years creates a permanent crease in the hair, thins the root in that exact line from years of repeated tension, and on fine silver or gray hair, exposes the scalp in a way that reads as significantly more age-associated than any other styling feature. Honestly, the part line is the one thing I wish someone had pointed out to me before I spent years reinforcing the wrong one. The sectioning mistake is aging your hair by locking it into a density pattern that highlights the thinnest areas of your scalp every single day. And the longer you have been parting in the same place, the more pronounced that effect becomes. The fix is a part shift. Not a dramatic change. Not a completely different style. Just a shift of half an inch to 1 inch. Moving your part slightly from where it has always lived. This single shift falls across a fresh root zone that has never been flattened by a years-long crease. The hair lifts more easily, the scalp shows less, and the overall silhouette reads as fuller even when the total hair volume is identical. If you are still parting your hair in the exact same spot you have parted it for the last decade or more, try shifting it just slightly. The visual difference at the root zone and crown is immediate and genuinely surprising. This is the one that made a reader write to me and say she looked 10 years younger in a single morning without changing a single product. The second part of the sectioning mistake is direction. Most women part from front to back in a straight line, because that is the natural way a comb falls. But a slightly diagonal part, angled just a few degrees rather than perfectly straight, creates asymmetry at the crown that adds visual depth and makes the hair read as denser than it is. Symmetry on thin hair highlights thinness. A very slight diagonal breaks the symmetry just enough to confuse the eye in your favor. This is everything. Swap a straight front to back part for a very gently angled diagonal shift, and add a soft zigzag finish at the root of the part rather than a clean straight line. A zigzag root breaks up any scalp visibility and creates the look of fuller density at the part line even when the hair itself has not changed at all. Now here is what pulls the entire 4-step routine together into something that genuinely holds through the day. Once the part is shifted and finished, use the very tips of your fingers, not a brush, not a comb, just your fingertips, to very gently tousle the root zone at the crown in a forward and upward motion. This is not backcombing. This is not teasing. This is a 30-second light lift that disrupts the root from lying flat and adds a natural, effortless texture that no product alone can replicate. Boom! Your bone structure was always this stunning. Now it shows. You do not need more hair. You do not need a different cut. You need the 4 steps in the right order. The towel handled right, the dryer angled correctly, the product weight managed, and the part placed intentionally. Every one of those steps builds on the one before it. And together they create a result that feels genuinely different from anything you have been doing alone. Part 4 is the finishing frame. The one technique that pulls the whole look into a polished, elevated silhouette that works specifically with your facial features and makes everything from your brow line to your jaw read as more defined and more radiant. It is shorter, sharper, and it is the step that makes people ask what changed. The part is now working for you. But there is one final frame that most women never add. And it is the thing that takes a good style and makes it genuinely striking. Face framing. Specifically, the way you position the very front sections of your hair around your face after the style is complete. Most women style the bulk of their hair and then leave the front sections wherever they happen to fall. Sometimes forward, sometimes tucked back, sometimes half and half. And the result is a style that looks like it was not quite finished. Like something is missing. Because something is. The front sections of your hair are the direct frame for your eyes, your cheekbones, and your jaw. On thin hair, they have an enormous amount of power over how your entire face reads. For most women over 50 with thin, fine hair, the single most flattering front section placement is a very soft forward movement toward the cheekbone, not covering it, not hiding behind it, just grazing it. This movement pulls the eye forward and slightly down along the jaw, which is the most youth-associated facial direction you can create with hair positioning alone. If you are currently leaving your front sections wherever they naturally fall at the end of styling, try intentionally sweeping them just slightly forward and downward toward your cheekbone. Even half an inch of intentional placement creates a frame that makes your eyes look brighter and your whole expression look more open and refined. Yes, that's simple. These 4 steps together, the towel, the dryer, the product, and the section, form a complete routine that is genuinely different from what most thin-haired women over 50 are currently doing. And the results are not subtle. They are immediate, they hold through the day, and they require no new products, no new tools, and no extra time. You now have a system. Use it tomorrow morning. Part 4. The final Polish step that makes thin hair look intentional, elevated, and genuinely beautiful. Bold truth. Most thin hairstyling routines end at the wrong moment. You style, you finish, you walk away. But there is one final pass that takes everything you have built and makes it look like a deliberate, polished choice rather than just the best your hair could do today. This is the step that separates a styled look from an elevated look. And it takes under 2 minutes. The finish audit. That is what I call it. After your full routine, after the microfiber press, the upward blow dry, the root-only lightweight product, the shifted diagonal part, and the face framing front sections, you stand in front of a mirror with good light, and you look at your hair the way someone else would see it walking toward you. Most women look at their hair while styling. They never look at it the way it will actually be seen. This is the one I wish I had understood 20 years earlier. The finish audit is aging your hair by never catching the 3 things that always slip through. And those 3 things are what makes the difference between hair that looks styled and hair that looks cared for, considered, and genuinely beautiful. Here is what you are looking for. First, the crown. On thin hair, the crown section tends to settle slightly during the last few minutes of your routine, while you were working on the front and sides. A single 10-second fingertip lift at the crown, upward and very slightly back, resets the height you built during blow drying, and keeps the silhouette from reading flat. Second, the transition between the side sections and the back. This is the area just behind each ear, where thin hair tends to flatten against the head most visibly. A very gentle lift and forward press with 2 fingers in this zone, just for a moment, just to break the flatness, makes the side profile of your hair look significantly fuller without adding a single product. Third, the ends. On thin fine hair, any ends that are sitting flat or pointing straight down are reinforcing the appearance of sparse density. A very light upward curl of the ends with your fingertips, not with a brush, not with a tool, creates enough movement to break the straight down fall that makes thin hair read as thin. This is everything. If you are still skipping the finish audit and walking away from the mirror the moment you feel done, add this 2-minute pass to the end of every single styling session. The adjustments are small. The visual difference in the final result is not. Now here is the part that makes the finish audit genuinely powerful rather than just useful. Lighting. The lighting in your bathroom while you style is almost never the same light that other people will see you in throughout the day. Most bathroom lighting is either overhead, which flattens the hair and creates shadows that make it look thinner, or it is warm and forgiving in a way that disguises exactly the issues that show up in daylight or in other indoor environments. Do your finish audit in natural light whenever possible. Step to a window. Look at your hair with the light coming from the side rather than from above. You will see the crown, the sides, and the part line in a completely different way. And the adjustments you make will be targeted at exactly what shows up in the real world rather than the best possible version of your bathroom mirror. Your natural elegance has always been there. The finish audit is just making sure nothing is standing in its way before you walk out the door. The maintenance piece that supports all 4 of these steps is simple. A trim every 8 to 10 weeks. Not a restyle. Not a dramatic change. Just a clean trim that keeps the ends from becoming see-through and wispy, because on thin hair, ends that have grown past their optimal length are the single fastest way to undo everything the root work is building. Fresh ends hold shape, catch light, and frame the face. Grown-out ends on thin hair collapse and separate in a way that reads as significantly less dense than it actually is. If you have not had a trim in the last few months, that is your maintenance step. Book it. You now have the complete 4-step system. Handle the towel right, blow dry upward, manage product weight, section with intention, and finish with a 2-minute audit in good light. These 4 steps work together as a system. Skip one and the others carry less impact. Do all 4 and the result is hair that looks not just styled but genuinely transformed. And next time, we are going somewhere that surprises everyone. The thing that ages your overall look even more than your hair might be hiding in the one accessory you wear every single day. You are not going to want to miss that one. Together from a dozen different sources, and you got all of it in one place, in the right order, with the real reasons behind every single one. You changed how you will style your hair tomorrow morning. That is not a small thing. Wear these 4 steps with the confidence they were always meant to carry, because your hair was never the problem. The routine was. Tell me, which of these 4 steps did you not know about before today? Was it the towel, the dryer angle, the product weight, or the finish audit? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Next time, we are uncovering the one accessory mistake that quietly adds years to any look, no matter how well dressed you are everywhere else. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I will see you in the next one.